This is Stephanie, Mom in our house. We want to say thanks to all the listeners of this podcast. It means so much to us that you choose to spend some of your precious time with our family. We hope the stories that we are sharing with you are enjoyable and also relatable. As a bonus, at the end of this episode, we are pleased to present our first ever Tea Time segment. We hope you enjoy it.
Okay. All right. So, welcome to episode number 3, Life Story Podcast with the Mushonga family. There are no disclaimers in this podcast, so this should be good for all audiences. Okay. So, last time we jumped right into talking about the essay. We did not read the essay or anything. So I thought maybe this time I should start by reading the essay.
Okay.
I know it's going to be on our website and people can go to lifestory.com and read it there. But for those who don't have the access or those who won't be able to, they may want to know what the essay that we're talking about, what it's about. So I'm going to go ahead and read it and then we can jump into the questions. Do you want to read it, Steph, or you want me to read it? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and read it. So the title of the essay is King Yellow.
Baba?
Yes.
I actually have a question about that.
Okay.
Because it's titled King Yellow, but in the book you say Yellow Man.
Yes.
Or essay.
Yes. So, okay. So that's probably a title that I can change, but the musician that I referenced in the story, the one that's called Yellowman, is also called King Yellow by others, and that was the name even when I was a child that people would call him either Yellowman or King Yellow. So in this essay, I just went with King Yellow. When I was a little boy, maybe 4 years old, some of my older cousins dubbed me the Yellowman or King Yellow. This is the stage name of a popular Jamaican dancehall music artist and a disc jockey whose real name is Winston Foster. And just like him, I was and still am an albino. My cousins meant it as a joke, but I was not amused. Life was tough enough being the 12th out of my parents' combined 13 known offspring. The last thing I needed was another reason to feel small and to be the punchline of some cruel joke. The name calling felt like disrespect. The more I fought back against this name, the more taunted with me, the more they taunted me with it. Inside our family home, my siblings never crossed this line, not even once, but they were powerless to stop the cousins from being insensitive jerks. Even though my brothers and sisters could not fight this one battle for me, I knew that in many other ways, they were still my heroes, my protectors. Time and again, it was often the sound of someone yelling, "King Yellow!" that made me aware that at least one of these cousins had come around to visit at our home once again. The glee with which they shouted these words sent my heart into such a panic that I would often run off to find a safe place to hide, somewhere in the house, go to the back gate into the streets to play with friends, or run into the maize field behind the house to find some peace and quiet. Out in the streets, my true friends, you could always find us running around, laughing, and playing wildly without fear. covered in dust from head to toe from playing in the dirt roads behind the houses, and scratched up all over my legs and toes from kicking the hard-paved grounds. It was all joy and no pain as I played street football with my brothers and the other boys from our block. Then out of nowhere, someone would ruin it all by yelling, "Yellow Man!" at the top of their lungs, as if there was an imminent missile strike and the entire ghetto needed to evacuate. Even the other kids would stop to look around and look at me, and you could imagine the gears spinning in their dust-covered heads, eyeballs looking out of their dirty sockets, looking frantically all around for this yellow man creature before it pounced on one of us and ate him whole. Once they figured out that the target was poor old me, then the next logical decision was whether to join in the bullying and jesting or simply carry on with the game. It was always a relief when they chose the football game instead of piling on with the name calling. I was not black or brown like the other kids, just a blindingly yellow boy, yellow brighter than the sun, more yellow than the marigold flowers that grew wildly in my mother's tiny flower garden planted against the east side of our two-bedroom home. I was more yellow than all the petals of sunflowers in all the world crushed together. Stupid yellow flowers always gazing up at the sun all day in, day out, without blinking. I hated everything yellow because it reminded me of how different I was. The nickname Yellowman was probably not said out of hate, but it wounded my pride just the same. I knew that I was not the only albino boy in the world. There were others out there in the streets. I had met one or two albino boys at school. There was at least one albino girl at our church, and there were 2 or 3 other albinos in my own family. My little sister was and is albino. Still, it just hurt so much to be picked on endlessly. As a general rule, all albinos were picked on and called names by other young kids and even some adults, the normal ones. What a contrast to have with society, despised and always cast down. This level of pettiness and cruelty always felt personal and unnecessary. Fast forward to today. I am 43 years old, and I am listening to music by the legendary Jamaican dancehall music artist and musician known worldwide as Yellowman. There's a song titled "Thank You" on one of his albums, and I listen to it often while I do my chores around the house. In this song, Yellowman expresses his thankfulness to his beautiful people, family and friends, and his wonderful fans for their loyalty, for supporting him through the years, for all the love they've brought into his life, for all the blessings they showed him, for not leaving his side throughout all of life's good and bad times. The message conveyed in this song echoes deeply within me. I am happily married to Stephanie, the true love of my life, and we have 5 very gorgeous children. We live modestly in a place where the children play loudly in the backyard while disturbing only the birds in the trees and the neighborhood squirrels. We have a family dog that loves to play tag with the neighbor's dog at the back fence while pretending to hunt the squirrels as they sit on the power lines. These smug squirrels know that they are untouchable, so they just sit on the line, crack pecan shells, chirp, and throw the shells at the dogs below. The silly dogs believe that one of these days these arrogant creatures will slip up, fall down, and then it will be time to show the squirrels the real top dogs and true alphas of the backyard fence line. But this is a different story for another day. Out in the front yard, we have a sidewalk where the children can take their rollerblades, skateboards, and bicycles and practice crashing and falling hard on the unforgiving concrete. It is their version of street soccer with friends. Somehow they do come back home with dust on their feet and scratches on their legs. There must be a gene for playing hard in our bloodline. But again, this is also a story for another day. At 43, I am a lot different from the boy that I was at 4 years old. The real yellow man and I have come a long way since the days of my childhood. The name calling and public humiliation that I used to fear and even despise has not changed. Other people will always see me as different from the outside, and that is not going to change. I admire Yellowman for embracing just how outwardly different he was from the other musicians and artists around him, and not waiting for others to define who he was. I admire his strength. He is a champion who defied the odds of his early childhood and fought for his own survival. He conquered much more than albinism, but that is his story to tell. We do not always know the ending from the beginning. Sometimes that which is rejected turns out to be the chief cornerstone. While it is easy to reject people and ideas that are different from what is familiar to us, it never feels great to be the one who is rejected. As a young man, my life was overexposed and scrutinized because of the abundance of attention that was paid to my physical appearance. This attention was almost 100% negative. Often, it was the ugly looks, finger pointing, jeering, spitting, kicks, and even blows to my face and body, all without direct provocation from myself. Simply existing and having the audacity to walk on this earth was crime enough. I learned to fight strangers for survival more than I learned to depend on the kindness of strangers for civility. Still, there were the outliers, the few strangers who came along the way and somehow found a place in their hearts to like and even love what they saw in someone like myself. My mother often tells me the story of the Swedish couple who once offered to buy me and my sister from my mother while she was waiting at a bus stop. My mother was scared, but was wise enough not to show her shock. Instead, she politely told them that this was such a wonderful opportunity. But first, she had to check with her husband and then get back to them. When the next bus came along, she excused herself and got on board, not caring where it took her as long as it carried her far away from the unwanted kindness of these strange white people. Suffice to say, she never returned to that bus terminus again. My mother also told me the story of one woman who was having trouble conceiving, who told her that she would give anything to have a child of her own, a child to carry in her own womb and to hold in her arms, even if that child turned out to be an albino. She was desperate enough to want a child whom most people would simply despise. My mother prayed with her so that she could conceive, and when she did, the Lord blessed her with an albino son of her own. So as you see, it is not always as all bad to be a little different on the outside. it is almost impossible to see what is beautiful about you if the rest of the world treats you like trash. These stories have helped me to be kinder and gentler with the feelings of others. As a young boy, I was often troubled by the knowledge that I was unavoidably different. As a grown man, I am simply grateful for life. Sometimes we do not like what we are likened unto. For me, it was yellow man. In our own hearts, we might wish that the world saw us as someone extraordinary and important, but also as someone who fits in with the crowd and someone who also matches perfectly with our picture of the ideal world. But this is never the case. While no one should be born to be despised, I now know that not everyone I meet is going to fall madly in love with every bit of who I am. Still, if I can do a remarkable job of embracing who I am, I'll make a difference in this world by making it easier for someone else to love who they are the way God made them. Putting these thoughts on paper has been part of my journey towards embracing who I believe God meant for me to be. Sharing it freely with you will hopefully inspire you and strengthen you to build up your neighbor and not cast down and destroy. The end. Okay. Thoughts? Questions?
Why did the man want to take you or your sister?
I don't know the reason why, but what my mother says is they saw us, and I must have been. I am at least 4 years older than Tita Gwen, and Tita Gwen might have been a baby then. And they must have seen us and just thought, wow, those beautiful babies, and they liked what they saw. So that's the only thing I can think of.
What does dubbed mean?
So you're going back to that first sentence, right?
Mm-hmm.
It just means
Nicknamed?
called me or nicknamed me. Yeah, they gave me the name or started calling me that. Yes. Like when someone is being knighted, they get dubbed, say so and so. By the whoever, the queen or the king.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a way of someone putting a name to you or a moniker. I think that's the other way of saying it.
So, do you still know any of the people that you used to play street football with?
Yeah, it's been a long, long time since Zimbabwe. So I've played street football with my neighbor, Owen, and the other boys on our street. And my brothers played street football with the boys who were their age group. And sometimes we'd just play mixed ages, depending on who showed up to play that day. And every once in a while, we'd have young boys from one street play against young boys from another street. So it would be like, hey, you want to play street ball? Say yes. And they say, okay, bring 5 cents or 10 cents. So you'd put your 5 cents or 10 cents into a pool. So if there's 10 of you and you get 10 cents each, you play against the other street. Then by the end of that, you have 20 cents and you can buy yourself some candy, popsicle or something.
Did any of the girls play?
The girls did not play the street ball where you kick the ball with your feet, but we played other versions of street ball. So, the game where you have like a rectangle and you're on two sides of the rectangle. You've got two players with the ball, and they're just throwing the ball across. And the other players, it's like baseball. You have the bases, so you got four bases. What you have to do is run from one base to the other while they're throwing the ball without getting hit. And you have to run so many times. So you're counting how many bases you go to, and they're throwing the ball across, and they're trying to hit you with the ball, so you'll get knocked out of the game. And when you get the last person left running from base to base is the winner of that game. So that's one game that we played on the streets with the girls, with our sisters.
So did all of your cousins call you Yellow Man? Or were there certain...
No, not all of my cousins called me Yellow Man. So you can think of my cousins from two sides of the family. From my father's side of the family, that's where most of the name calling came from. From my mother's side of the family, they didn't call me any names at all that I can remember. Now, some children will call me a name, or would have called me a name before some adult told them, hey, that's not a nice thing to say. But these cousins that I'm talking about were older cousins from my father's side of the family. And they are the ones who were into reggae music, and they knew who Yellow Man was. And even though they called me Yellow Man and it hurt my feelings, the truth is they really liked Yellow Man, and they really liked his music. And even myself, when I started listening to the music of Yellow Man with my brothers and with some of those cousins, I was not offended. What was offensive was just them calling me that name, because it just touched the part in my heart that, it pained me.
What stuck out to me in my most recent reading was in the last paragraph, where it talks about how people in their hearts, and I'm sure you were just talking about yourself, you want to be seen as someone that's extraordinary and important, but also someone who fits in with the crowd. And I don't know, it just struck me as, those are opposites. We, as people, not just you as someone with albinism as a kid, but as people, we all, I think, maybe a few people want only to blend in, but I think that's what all people want. They want to be both extraordinary and important in some way, and at the same time be someone who completely fits in. I think that's human nature. Whether or not you have something that makes you drastically stick out, I think it's human nature to want somewhere where you fit in, but also to be able to stand out. I know that's probably not the conversation you were looking to have, but that's what stuck out to me today from this essay.
I'm thinking about from a young child onward. You want to be able to walk into any setting, any group of kids, and be accepted. If you walk into a group of kids and you're accepted right away, nothing about you disqualifies you from, a game of street football or some other thing that you may want to do with those kids. Then you also want to be celebrated. Let's say I left my parents' house and I went to play street soccer with my friends. If I fell down and I got hurt and I started bleeding, and this happened many times, lots of people would look at me awkwardly. Like if another kid was black, got a bruise, a cut of any kind, they'll be just like, oh, let's just put some sand on that and stop the bleeding and carry on with the game. But every time that I got hurt playing the game, everyone made such a big deal out of it. They would stop and they would look. And, the next time I would go out to want to play a soccer game, they would not pick me for the team. And the reason they wouldn't pick me for the team is because they'll say, oh, his skin is so soft. If you touch him, it's just going to peel up. So as a young kid, you want to feel normal because guess what? When we are playing and I score, we all celebrate and I'm the hero. Or if someone on the other team tries to score and I defend and I block and we save, we don't get scored against, then we celebrate and I'm the hero. And those moments feel good. But when people don't choose you to be on their team because somehow they think you're inferior, then that's part of that conclusion that you just want to feel extraordinary. Even also, you just want to feel like you're normal.
Well, actually, your skin isn't weak because every single time they touch each other, their skin falls off. It's a fact.
Okay, if you have no other questions, I want to do my thing about this is important to me.
So we are pleased to present our first ever Tea Time segment. We hope you enjoy it. Now it is time for the promised Tea Time segment.
All right. So this is important to me because I'm reading this essay and let me see. This is not exactly related to this story, but I say in this episode that I'm happily married to Stephanie, the true love of my life, and with 5 very gorgeous children. Okay, so this is something that I'm gonna tell you, but it's probably not something you guys can use right now. You'll probably be able to use it later in life, maybe, hopefully. So I say your mother is the love of my life.
Yeah.
Because she is.
Your wife.
Yes, my wife.
That's a poem.
That's a poem?
Yeah. Well, it's a rhyme.
Okay, it's a rhyme. But I wanted to talk to you and maybe your mother will be able to tell her own version of this story about the love of her life. So it has something to do with albinism. That's why I wanted to tell the story. So when I was in high school, I had a girlfriend and I really liked her. And I was thinking, yay, this is the love of my life. And one day I was walking with my friend Tondarai. You guys know Tondarai, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So Tondarai was getting ready to go to England to go to school. And Tondarai and I went shopping. I think Tondarai was going to buy some pants, some shoes, and a shirt. And I think he's going to listen to this podcast so he can correct me if I'm wrong. I think you bought some khaki pants and a khaki shirt. And I think he had a hat, also khaki. And I think he had some shoes, also khaki. So he was going to be khaki from head to toe. So I can't remember what day of the week it is. It might have been a weekend. And me and Tondarai are walking. We've been doing shopping and we're like, okay, we've done all the shopping. He's going to be going to England that week. Oh, but if it's a Saturday, it's going to be the same week sometime. So we're just walking and we wanted to go to this place called Wimpy. And I think there was a Wimpy at a place called the Eastgate Mall.
Wimpy?
Wimpy, yeah. They sold some of the best cheeseburgers you'll ever taste. Your mother can tell you all about the cheeseburgers in Zimbabwe. They're really good. So I'm walking with Tondarai. I don't remember the name of the store. And we're going to go to lunch. He's my friend. He's going to go to England. I know I'm gonna miss him. And we're walking. And as we're walking, I see this girl, my girlfriend. She's walking on the street with her mother and her sister. And she's not supposed to be on that street because she was going to school in a different town. So me and Tondre are in Harare. She was going to school in a town called Bulawayo. And that's, if you go to Bulawayo from Harare on a train, you're on that train all night long. So of course we've been writing letters and calling on the phone. But she is not in Harare on the street. And I'm surprised to see her because she's not supposed to be in Harare. She didn't call me, she didn't write me a letter. So I see her, she sees me, Chandrai sees her. So Chandrai walks ahead of me and he stops somewhere. And since this girl is with her mother and her sister, they walk past me and they stop somewhere. So it's me and her. We stop on the street. And I say, hey, okay. Is it nice to see you? Should I be happy to see you? What are you doing in town? And she says, I can't tell you, but I can't talk to you anymore. And my heart just sank because she's breaking up with me. And we are standing on the sidewalk on a busy day in a busy city. And I feel like my world is just ended. So I'm like, tell me why. I mean, can you at least tell me why? She says, no, I can't tell you. I have to go. So she goes and joins her mother and her sister, and they go on about their day. And Chandra and I, we go to Wimpy for what was supposed to be one of the best days of our young lives. We're going to celebrate him going to England. And I'm dreaming that when he gets to England, he's going to help me get to England. Like I wanted to be where my friend was. You guys remember Gary? You know Gary?
Mm-hmm.
Gary was already in America doing his thing.
Yes.
Tondre was going to be in England doing his thing. And I was like, I don't remember enjoying that hamburger that day. I don't even know what we talked about. So after that awful encounter, I couldn't wait to go home to get to the phone and call her and say, can you explain that to me one more time? What are you doing in Harare? And how come I don't know about this? And why can't you tell me? What? And she said, no, I can't tell you why. Can you have your friend Gary call me? So I called Gary and I said, Gary, hey, this girl. And Gary knew this girl. They'd gone to school together. So they were friends already. I said, hey, can you call this girl? Apparently she's breaking up with me, but she can't tell me why. But she said she'll tell you. So the next day, Gary goes to work, and Gary used to work at a bank. So Gary was not in America at the time because Gary was still in Zimbabwe. So Gary goes to work the next day, and I'm calling Gary at work. Have you called her yet? What did she say? He goes like, come on, man, I'm at work. I'll call her when I take a break. So eventually Gary calls her, and then he calls me back. And he says, well, yeah, you're right. She's breaking up with you. But she's breaking up with you because you're albino. And what has happened is that her aunt has died in her family, and someone else has died in her family. And the family had gone to those witchcraft people, the spiritual doctors, the medicine man, to inquire, to find out why these people were dying. And the witch doctor had told them that they were dying because of me, that someone in their family was associating with someone like me who had albinism, and therefore I was bringing in bad luck to their family.
That's impossible.
You remember in our second episode when we're talking about stigma and how society looks at people with albinism, and how in some places you find out that they will chop off the arms and legs and limbs, or even kill albinos for their bodies because they want the good luck. Well, the other side we didn't talk about is also because some people just think there is evil that comes with albinism. So there's one story about why, how I feel like, oh, well, so what does it have to do with your mother being the love of my life? I have many friends and I've met many friends. And with friends, it's never become an issue. I never question whether they see me as someone different or not. With relationships, it wasn't always that easy. It wasn't always that easy to know that if I like a girl, did she look at me and do the math and say, what will my family think and what will my other friends think? And in our first episode, we jokingly talked about the time that I met your mother. We met in a nursing home and we were both like nurses' aides. And when I started talking to your mother, and I did not even consider that I was albino. It's not like I didn't know that I was. When we started talking and we became friends and we started dating, everything happened in such a way that, the first time I hung out with your mom, she is the one who said, hey, my sisters and I and my cousin, we're going to go to Frontier City. Do you want to join us?
That's an amusement park.
Yeah, Frontier City is an amusement park. And I was like,
No, but yes.
I've never been to one of those places before. And so, sure, I really wanted to spend time with her, and she was asking me to do stuff. And for someone that I liked as much as I liked her, I was willing to risk it all on one of those roller coaster rides. Which I do not like, roller coaster rides. And then when we became friends over time and we started dating, not once do I remember having to even field questions about albinism or even think about albinism. In past relationships, going back to that girlfriend I've told you guys about, I met her dad once, that girl's father. He did not like me just from looking at me. He dropped her off at school. I went over to introduce myself and say hi. And that man turned his back on me and just drove off and went away. I tried to meet that girl's mother once. I went to her house. She let me come into the house, but I was never invited back to the house. Like I said, this is not something, it's important to me to share with you, and it's not something you guys can use now. But, this is part of our life story. I am happily married to your mom. She's all the world to me. We have you 5 guys. I could not have imagined a better outcome as a man than to be happy in my home with my wife and my kids, and not once worry about the color of my skin. Okay.
We're not all guys.
Yes.
We have one girl.
And a girl. 4 guys and a girl.
And a mom.
Yes.
Which are both gals.
Absolutely. But yeah, like I say that because to me it's important that you guys, in the last episode, Panashi and Makanaka were like, oh, something about wishing they could be albinos or they would have something in common with me. And, I just laughed it off. Because you guys know me and you love me. So it's easy for you to feel that way. But I know the struggle that other people with albinism have to deal with in relationships. And I cannot speak for them, but I know that some people with albinism have started off to have a family only for something to happen and to be rejected because they have albinism. So, for you guys, however you use that information, as you grow up and you look at people and their differences, how they are different from you, I hope you treat people with kindness, and that you don't allow other people's physical differences to cause you to mistreat them or make them feel bad or unloved. But that's what I wanted to share with you guys on my "This is important to me" section.
Okay.
I don't recall having conversations about albinism. I'm sure there must have been some. I knew what albinism was before we got married because I don't know. I'm a nerd. But I don't recall it being even a huge amount of thought on my part. I know when I met you, I thought you were from Jamaica because some of the people we were working with, they're like, we'd look at the next day's schedule and you were new. And those of us on night shift, we would look to see who's coming in the morning. So they would be like, oh, Godwill, that new guy, the new Jamaican guy. I think everyone thought you were Jamaican because you had dreadlocks, probably.
Yes, I misled people with those dreadlocks for a long time.
Yeah. So I think at first I thought that you were Jamaican, but I don't recall even giving a whole lot of thought to the fact of your appearance, other than you had dreadlocks and you're possibly from Jamaica. What I cared about on those first meetings was, were you working my hall? And were you going to take over my residence so I could go home for the day? And were you going to help me get the bigger ones up? Because lifting people, I weighed, maybe 120 pounds at the most at the time, and everyone was bigger than me.
Yep. And I showed up and I was ready to impress you with my muscles.
I don't know. It was pretty quick that we got started talking. Just you would come in and we would finish getting people up for breakfast and we would do those chores together, and we just enjoyed time talking. And I know albinism had to have been a conversation at some point, but I don't even recall the conversation because it wasn't that important to me. I mean, it's something that shaped who you were and will always shape who you are. And as far as my own upbringing with my own parents, there had never been anything said even about whether or not I should marry someone from another race or a different color, so to speak. My parents did a really good job of saying, whoever you choose. They wanted me to choose someone who would treat me well. They preferred that I choose someone who was also a Christian. But even if I had walked through the door with someone who was not professing to be a Christian, they would have opened their home to that person just because I chose them. So I don't even know where I'm going with this other than to say I know we had to have had conversations, but I don't recall them because it just simply wasn't that important. I think what became most important about it was the fact that you couldn't have a driver's license because you had originally failed your eye exam in a DMV somewhere in North Carolina at some point. That was like the biggest thing that affected our life that had to do with albinism, which we could probably make a whole episode on bureaucracy in the United States and hoops we've had to jump through.
I think we should do that
at some point.
Yeah,
we
should do an episode that covers
We could probably have an episode for driver's license, an episode for green cards,
Yeah.
an episode for citizenship. I
Yeah.
don't know. It'd have to be a mini-series.
All the legal things.
And about those dreadlocks, he no longer has those.
No, I don't.
He
And he
only,
barely has any hair.
That's part of the reason why I don't have dreadlocks, because my hair was failing me. But
he only has a little
He didn't
curls.
tell me he was removing the dreadlocks. He showed up at church late, and I was already annoyed that he was late. And I was wondering where he was. And we got down to pray. I turned around, and he was sitting back there bald, like completely bald. And I was shocked, to say the least. I'm not sure I appreciated the new look, actually.
Right now,
Like, you should have at least kept some hair.
nah, there was time.
It was foreshadowing of hair loss and
Yeah.
shaving
Bubba
of
was
heads.
late because his hair had problems.
Yeah, no, we'll probably do an episode also that
On the hair?
that touches on like my different lifetimes in America.
Yeah.
I've had several, so that'll be an interesting episode to do.
Do you think somebody has ever tried to cut the hairs out of their ears but accidentally cut their real hair?
Yeah, this is not that episode. Okay, I think we have enough for this episode. So, who's gonna sign us out?
Me.
Okay.
I know. This is the third episode of Life Story. Press the heart button. And give us a thumbs up, please.
A heart. Maybe you should have said this is the third episode of Life Story, ending now.
You can follow us on Spotify.
And
Bubba, get
Facebook
your finger
Oh, you got it on
ready.
Facebook too.
and Instagram.
And that too,
And
apparently.
Twitter sometime.
Oh, Twitter is coming soon.
Okay, this is just as bad
Just
as
don't
the last
give us
episode's
bad
ending.
We
tweets.
also have our own website now, lifestory.com.
And it's
Look it
open.
up.
Yes, and it's you can visit and listen to all the episodes and read the stories.
Get